Hello. Well, today I'm going to discuss with you a little bit about my action plan that I put into place, um, and then a little of the moments, the aha moments that I'm going to take away or that I took away from this assignment, plus some things that I really would like to implement within my teachings for next year, and then hopefully in the future when I become a principal, the things that I'm going to implement for my teachers to be able to do and to be effective at it. So my problem of practice for my action plan was to really hone in on why our writing scores were so low. So our students at North Elementary have performed significantly low on the writing benchmark, which was last year's STAR test. Um, our students performed at 25.2% with an average percentage score of 43.34%. So the scores are based on the Texas Education Association board, whereas a 56% is approaching grade level. So our students are performing extremely lower from that state standard. So based on the information provided, our problem of practice is for 50% of our students to achieve approaching grade level on the fourth grade writing STAR test. So some things that I really wanted to implement were the concrete steps that we were going to do in order to make sure that our action or that my action plan was going to work in the best interest of our students. So what I did was I proposed that um, we kind of bring together um, our entire block that we have for teaching, and we have two sections per teacher, and they're 140-minute sections. So what I proposed was that we have 95 minutes of writing and 45 minutes of reading. But in that 45 minutes of reading, that we use 30 minutes of that for small group instruction, so that way we can work, in a smaller group setting for some of the writing teaks that our students are still um, needing some help closing those gaps. And then I'm also going to implement, we do have a set aside RTI time, which is about 55 minutes long, and it's not included in our 140 minutes of instruction time. And what we're going to do is we have our students are divided into three tiers: tier one, tier two, and tier three. Um, and our tier one students are going to be with our student aides, or I'm sorry, our teachers' aides, and they're going to still be working on writing teaks. Some, as just a spiral review on things that they did really well on, or some things that they might not need a whole lot of time in order to master that standard, but just some extra practice for there. Our tier two is going to be with our classroom teachers, and they're really going to hone in on a lot of the takes that, where we need to fill those gaps. And then our tier three, they will go to our interventionist, and all the students are still going to be working on the same level or the same content. They're just going to be working on different levels of assistance. This will allow for a more in-depth differentiation method for all students to be exposed to the same content. So again, just breaking down the TEKS a little bit more to where our students are going to be successful at what they need. Um, when I look at the timeline for this action plan, I looked at when we took this, that's when we took the benchmark, and we took the benchmark in February, and our STAR test was April the 9th. So we had about a month and a half of instruction time to really, really focus on these writing TEKS, and to make sure that we provided all of the interventions and everything we need in order for our students to be successful. So we are hoping and praying that we have met that 50% of our students in meeting that approaches rate. But we won't find out until June, but that's something that we're really anticipating, and we feel, really good about how our students performed. Whenever we were giving them the formative assessments at the end of every week, whenever we had touched on a TEK, they were really getting a grasp of, what we were doing in the classroom and what was being taught to them. So it was helping us to really get a bigger picture of, our students can do this. We just have to make sure that they can get to that next level and make sure that they are going at that, they're getting to that approaches rate, if not the meets and masters. So some aha moments that I had while I was planning this was that, we always went in with, we're going to look at the IFD Antiques resource and we're going to know what we need to teach. And then at the end of the teaching, we're going to assess them as unit assessment, as some kind of summative or formative small assessment that we were going to use. However, that is not really what I feel is going to help our students be successful. If we can start from the very beginning of the year and do some type of map testing, or even pull one of the previous STAR tests from years before and kind of look at where our students are at the beginning, then we'll able to make intervention groups based on writing TEKS. We can have some small group instruction times, and especially our RTI times, where we can hit those writing TEKS as long as with the reading TEKS, but kind of divide them up in different ways where we're not always doing reading and we're not always doing writing. That way we're touching both of them. Because I feel like if we were to stay within just that month and a half that we have from our benchmark to the actual writing STAR, that's not enough time, and it's going to be drill and kill, drill and kill, drill and kill. Once they take the test, that information is going to be gone. So if we're working with our students and implementing those formative assessments or those interim assessments at the beginning of the school to really see where our students, what they know, and throughout the year we're able to continue with those formative assessments and making sure that our students are getting to the mastery level on those TEKS. And I think that would really help with, not having to have this action plan in place year after year after year. So again, as I discussed, that we're not really going to have the actual data information until we get the writing STAR to make our results, and that will be sometime in June, in order to really, really understand, that this action worked. And if it did, then we know what to do for next time. And if it didn't, again, we're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to make sure that maybe we can implement another action where we are taking these type of assessments at the beginning of the year and working piece by piece to get them to where they need to become the writing STAR test. The only thing that I see that's a little bit different with that is that these students going into fourth grade, or that are in fourth grade, and they're going to fifth grade. And I know that fifth grade isn't heavily taught like it is in fourth grade, because you don't have those teachers don't have the weight of the STAR test like the fourth graders do. But then that will help with vertically aligning our third grade teachers, our fourth grade teachers, and our fifth grade teachers to make sure that those gaps are being closed. Because once they get to seventh grade, it's going to be the same cycle all over again. We're not teaching writing like we're supposed to, so those gaps are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So if we can do the vertical alignment and really making sure that our third grade teachers and our fifth grade teachers are making writing an important asset to these students, I think that will really, really help them be successful as they get older and get ready to take other STAR tests. So again, all in all, it's about the success of the students and making sure that we are able to get them to be successful. And again, this is an action plan that we can take in now, and we can look at the data that we get come in June, and then we can go back to the drawing board. If what we had in place or what I had in place did not work, then it's okay. We need to start somewhere else, and we need to develop another action. Again, we want our students to be successful, and a great leader helps our students be successful and helps our team be successful, and all in all, it'll help our district be successful. Thank you.